13 years old. And Diego has such compassion for his people. These fish, we will catch and release.
Far Cry 6 is a massive game and it's packed with fun, but it's also one with multiple personality disorder. It's ready to suck you into its chaotic world of tank battles and stealth machete kills and cockfighting.
Round one, fight!
And then shotgun blast you in the guts with its attempts to tackle serious issues within its story.
I said, are you the only survivor? Si.
Lucky.
Need to know the risks. That's all you have to say? You're here. That's what matters.
Far Cry 6 might have changed its tone and a few of its mechanics, but the series' delight in total chaos is still front and centre. The first 4 or so hours of the game are kind of bewildering. No matter what I did, every mission descended into an all-out brawl. Stealth attempts were scuppered by a mongoose attack, enemy patrols popped up with alarming regularity, and I saw more NPC horses and dogs hit by cars than I care to remember. Everything I did, I felt like there had to be a better way. I just hadn't quite unlocked the right equipment yet. The wingsuit, a rocket launcher, a sniper rifle, and that classic Far Cry power fantasy feeling was just out of reach. Once I had made it through that early stage though, and onto the Yaren mainland, it all clicked back into place. This time around, the story of Far Cry 6 isn't about vacationing dude bros, or a trip to dump your mum's ashes, or a weird cult. It's trying to tackle a much more realistic storyline with Yara, a country ruled by a brutal dictator and everything that includes, from slavery to human trafficking and even American imperialism. You play as Dani Roja, as they go from would-be regime escapee to guerrilla revolutionary.
The sword and the hero! Nice to see you two alive.
To put it simply, your job is to F up as much of Villain Castillo's bag as possible by taking out anti-aircraft guns, sabotaging his factories, and murdering his powerful supporters. As the story progresses, you're directed to other pockets of the resistance, winning them over with more death and destruction to help their personal causes, and freeing up different provinces along the way. The Far Cry 6 Guerrilla starter kit includes an Amigo crocodile companion called Guapo, a Supremo backpack which is essentially a wearable ultimate ability, and a mix of standard and improvised weapons from shotguns to guns that shoot CDs. Follow the story and side quests and you'll unlock more of all of the above, and your inventory will soon look like the attic of a very unstable hoarder. Far Cry 6 definitely feels like the turning point for a series in transition. Everything you know and love about it is still there. Crazy weapons, clearing checkpoints, climbing to obscure locations for hidden treasures, but the small changes that have been made actually have a big impact on the overall experience. Most notable at first is establishing your character as more than just some eyeballs you stare through. When you reach a guerrilla camp or hit a cutscene, the game swaps from first person to third person, letting you see your Dani and whatever terrible outfit you've chosen for them, and watch them react to friends, foes, and the events of the storyline in a much more realistic way. On the more mechanical side, someone chopped down the skill trees and made a wardrobe with the wood. Now instead of using skill points to purchase perks or abilities, any changes to your Dani's base stats come from the kit she equips in the form of headwear, shirts, trousers, shoes, and hand accessories. A particular watch might up your defense stats against blast rounds, a safari hat tags animals around you automatically for easy tracking, and the Fuego gloves mean that when you're on fire you put yourself out automatically, rather than needing to smash a button. It's a nice idea, suiting up before a hunt with animal protection buffing clothes, stealth-friendly outfits for assassinations, but in big battles it often means pausing the action to quickly change Dani's trousers, which is quite the mental image. Part of me just missed the simplicity of knowing I'd purchased a perk that meant I could run faster and it would last forever, but the ability to swap and change will appeal to anyone that feels at home in the Destiny 2 Vault menu. I started out hating it. By the end of the game, me and Far Cry 6 had come to a respectful, if uneasy, truce. One where I had tried to face a tank dressed in fishing gear at least twice before spotting my mistake in a cutscene. In a nice touch for fashionistas, you can transmog each item of kit so that even if you need some ugly sneakers that help with tripwires, you can make them look like anything else in your collection. The new Supremo backpacks work in a similar way. Rather than getting one super backpack, you'll acquire ones with different strengths, upgrade them, and swap between them depending on your mission style. Your Supremo also dictates which gadgets, grenades, healing syringes, EMPs, appear in your weapon wheel. For the lazy-ass tank like me, I played most of the game with the same explosive Supremo you get at the beginning, finding it just too much of a lifesaver to take out tanks and helicopters with a single hit to ever really let it go. So for the first few hours, even if you're one of the Far Cry faithful, you should expect to feel a little bit lost as these tweaks to the system settle in. It's like coming back to the office to find someone has moved all your stuff around, only rather than a stapler and your favourite mug, you're not sure why your Molotovs aren't appearing in your weapon wheel. Here's a controversial question. Has Far Cry 6 made its Amigo animal companions too damn adorable this time around? Between a tiny dog with a wheelchair and customisable outfits, I was way too emotionally invested in their welfare. Whole missions were absolutely banjaxed by my crocodile or dog or panther getting themselves into trouble and me dropping absolutely every objective and concern for my own health to go and help them. It wasn't even a gameplay consideration, they can be revived. I just couldn't bear seeing anyone shoot at Chorizo. It's not a real complaint, more a warning for anyone who doesn't like to see a puppy getting kicked. There was a lot more cock than I was expecting in my Far Cry 6. Roosters are a recurring theme to the point where I'm wondering if someone on the Ubisoft team had a particularly traumatic experience with chickens at an early age. You can collect roosters, play as a rooster in a cockfighting side game that Peter is absolutely going to lose its mind over, get a punk rooster amigo, and there are even some stories of Yara side quests that revolve around eggs and birds and rooster spurs. That's one for someone psychoanalyst to ponder for sure. As for the story, it has to be mentioned that Far Cry 6 should come with a massive trigger warning for a lot of reasons. It's not just the violence, though the close-up machete kills that see you ram the blade right into the skull of your victim are pretty brutal. It's the way the story really wants you to know that Anton is a proper bad guy by showing, not telling. The game opens with mass murder and cracks on at the same pace from there, so expect to see corpses, medical experimentation on live subjects, some very clumsy handling of a trans rights storyline, human trafficking, torture, and more. It's not that games shouldn't tackle this stuff, it's just hard to make the tonal switch from the absolute degradation of humanity to, look, we made a minigame that looks like Street Fighter but with chickens. It's like the writing team sat in one room, researching political history and watching prestige HBO dramas like Chernobyl, and the gameplay team sat way over the other side of the studio adding unicorns and firework guns and crocodile helmets for most of the development, and then the two teams came together at the end to try and duct tape the two ideas together. After days just burning through the main quests and important looking side quests to see as much of the game for review as possible, the ending felt like a mean trick, a classic there are no winners in war sort of thing, but not one that put me off going past the credits and straight back into Yara to see what I'd missed. Every treasure hunt and side mission was still there for me to work my way through, something that feels like it could take weeks. There's even a new insurgency system that adds new area leaders for me to kill. Because ultimately that's what Far Cry 6 is about, a big old playground of chaos and hunting and fishing and things that explode, and the why barely matters. With the latest instalment, the playground is bigger than ever and packed with new toys.